Japanese historically have had very poor vision. And these men were all wearing thick eyeglasses. And he ripped the eyeglasses off them, threw them on the ground, and stamped them to pieces. And I thought that was an ugly, ugly thing to do.
Wow. Yeah. Looking back on everything that you went through in the war, would you change anything that you've done, or are you proud of what you experienced?
You can always do better.
Yeah. Would you still have enlisted?
Yes.
Is there like anything that like you felt like you missed out on though at home during that time?
That I missed out on at home?
Yeah.
Well, I missed out on my sister's wedding.
Did you have to see any of your close friends die?
Well, not close friends in the civilian sense, but certainly close friends because we were in the same unit, yes.
And what was that like?
Well, the rush of war is so intense that you don't take time to dwell on things like that until long afterward.
Mhm. Do you think about it now at all? Or...
Well, I think about them if I go back and take a look at Saving Private Ryan or A Bridge Too Far or something like that.
Okay.
We carried M1 rifles and .45 caliber pistols, and we carried switchblade knives and trench knives with brass knuckles, and we also carried garrots.
Garrots?
Garrot.
What are garrots?
A garrot is, I think it's spelled G-A.
Is it like a grenade?
R-O-T. It's like a piece of wire with two handles. And you use it to choke a man to death.
Oh.
Or saw his throat open.
Wow.
If a grandchild or granddaughter or grandchild were to tell you they wanted to enlist in the war, what advice would you give them?
Which war?
If they wanted to enlist in the
Well,
service.
I had two sons who were the appropriate age for Vietnam. And David was very anxious to enlist, and I talked him out of it. Mm-hmm. Than was a little younger, so he wasn't quite as interested.
And why did you talk him out of it?
Because it was a war I didn't believe in, for one thing. Had it been World War II all over again, that would have been different, I think.
This was Vietnam you're talking about?
Yeah.
Do you believe in today's war in Iraq? Or Afghanistan?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Okay. So, you definitely agree that there was a strong purpose for World War II and Korea?
Certainly for World War II, Korea was a little more nebulous, I think.
Okay.
For what reasons?
Well, Harry Truman made the most wonderful decision when he released the atomic bomb to end World War II. That was prime. And then suddenly he got confronted with a situation in Asia, and no one really knew how much of a threat communism was. But he felt he had to err on the side of caution, so he sent troops to Korea. And I think in the long run it was probably okay.
The atomic bombing of Hiroshima, what were your thoughts on that? Did you agree with that? Or did you pretty much think that the Japanese were already defeated and it was kind of pointless?
We were sitting in an outdoor jungle theater in a little town called Lipa in Luzon. And they interrupt the movie to say that an atomic bomb had been dropped on
Hiroshima?
Hiroshima, that was on the 6th of August.
Yep.
And we didn't know what it meant. We had no idea what the magnitude of it was. So we went on with the movie. A couple of nights later, the 9th, you think we spend every night in the movies now. They announced they had dropped another one and that they suspected the Japanese might sue for peace. And I was with 3 men I've stayed in touch with ever since. And we all broke down and cried.
Really?
And then they did actually sued for peace on the 15th.
Once you were out of the war, out of World War II, out of Korea, and you came home, was there any significant change in your personality?
How'd the military affect you?
Well, I got out of the military first in January 1946. I went back and finished college.
Right.
Then I went to Chicago and worked for Montgomery Ward. Then I came back to New York and worked for National Biscuit and the Pittsburgh Slate Plate Glass Company. And then I met your grandmother.
I mean, was there any, so you started a family then, but
How'd the military, change
was there
you?
anything different about you when you got back that you can recognize?
I'd like to say that I was tougher, but I'm not sure I was any tougher. I thought I was tough going in.
Right. Did your perspective on war change? I mean, when you entered, you were thinking, I want to do this to help.
When you came out, was it
Did you
regret going in?
When I came out, did I regret having gone in? No.
Did your idea of war change, of what you thought it was at the beginning and then at the end?
Well, it was a lot nastier than I realized it would be, because our only experience, our only reference of war in my generation had been World War I,
Right.
which was quite a different war. I mean, it was fought in a very static situation, in trenches with duck boards, and you'd spend 2 days forward in the trench, then you'd go back to rear, and then you go different. And of course, very little air activity.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for the great interview.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. Thanks. You were
Do
really
I get
great.
a C plus?